Okay, is the screen visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So, welcome to the session. So, um, this is going to be like a very basic writing skills, like what it is titled as. But then it is not as basic as trying to teach you how to write a sentence, right? So we assume that most of us are good with the sentence structures in English, and we are learning to write um, how to write a paragraph. So most of the discussion that we're going to align here is on that, because I'll tell you the rationale behind that. A lot of people might ask, why should we learn writing a paragraph? It's a very basic thing. Anybody can write a paragraph. It's true that a lot of people can write a paragraph, but the point is, can you write an effective and good paragraph, right? So as beginners, there are some techniques and some strategies that people should know, so that whatever you want to communicate to the people, whether that is in a long format or short form, right? By long format, I mean, say you're supposed to submit reports, or you're supposed to submit, say, essays or SOPs, right? So if that is the case, then you're going to write a longer format article. And sometimes it is as short as, say, writing an email. Now, whether you're writing an email or whether you're writing a reflective essay versus an SOP or a cover letter, whatever the size of your article is, whatever the size of your write up is, all these write ups essentially follow a structure so as to communicate your messages effectively. Okay. So, in basic writing skills, we are going to focus on what are these basic elements or basic strategies that you're required to construct a wholesome message and a paragraph that can deliver your message well, right? So that is going to be our focus. We'll only have two sessions, one that happens today and one that happens tomorrow. So it's a 1.5 hour sessions. Like you see on the screen, what we're going to have, how we're going to conduct this session is basically have a mini lesson, which would be like, say, 10 or 15 minutes of I telling you what are the strategies and how does it work and all that. And rest of the work time that we have, we're going to work on either the activities that are designed for the session or writing tasks, right? So you will not have any heavy duty writing. Most of your writing, which is just one or two of the activity out of the whole that we have, that will include you writing just 5 or 6 sentences maximum, right? So we are not going to have a very long format writing, given this is a basic writing skill session. Who is this for? This is for anybody. Anyone can attend it who feels like I need to improve a bit on my writing skills. While we do have AI, I know a lot of people would now be thinking, okay, AI can do my work. Of course, AI can do your work, but one should remember that the effectiveness and the quality of the output that you get from an AI definitely depends on what prompts you give to it, right? So if your prompt is good, then your result is also good, right? So probably in the coming age, that is how we are going to, um, deal with these kind of things, right? So if everybody is writing an AI generated content, then how do you pick the best one among that? So the best one among that would depend on whether the person at the other end has been able to feed the assistant with a better prompt. Now, how do you put a better prompt? You should know what are the basic elements required to construct a good article. You should know what is it that the person is looking for when I am writing something, right? So these identification would happen only if you have studied a few written articles carefully and you realize that, okay, these are the inputs that I must provide my assistant to AI assistant to build a good writer, right? Which is essentially what we're going to discuss as strategies. What is it that you need to feed it, right? Whether you're writing it yourself or whether you're asking the AI to do it for you, you need to give good inputs. And what are these inputs? These are the things that we're going to briefly discuss. Of course, this is not like a week long or a month long workshop. So we have time constraints. So most of what we're discussing is going to stay restricted to the basic elements that's required, right? So today we'll be discussing mainly the development of paragraph and essentials that make a good paragraph. If you've already watched the lectures in the module 11 or 10, I think you should be familiarized with some of these things, right? So we're taking off some of the topics that we've discussed in that, and we're going to develop it in this workshop. So we'll be doing some activities to make it a little clearer for you, right? And then second thing that would be doing for today's class would be to look at the strategies of cohesion and unity, right? How it works in the paragraph. Tomorrow's session, we'll integrate all of what we have learned in today's session, and then we'll work on how to write a descriptive paragraph, right? There are several kinds of paragraphs, but we are only going to deal with the descriptive paragraph because that is the most basic form of paragraph, right? So if you know how to write a descriptive paragraph, then the other things is just a difference in the strategy. You can do that on your own notes, right? So that is the modus operandi. This is how we are going to spend today's and tomorrow's session. So I hope you're clear on that. We'll begin with talking about the development of paragraph part, particularly the essentials of it, right? So in a paragraph, right, if you've already watched the lecture, you should know that there are three main parts to developing an an effective paragraph, right? So we call them the topic sentence, the supporting sentence, and the concluding sentence, right? These are the three essential parts of the development of a paragraph. If you cannot identify even one among these three, that is, if you cannot see a topic sentence, or if you are not able to locate the supporting sentences or the concluding sentences of a paragraph, then we can easily conclude that this is not a well-developed paragraph, right? So to write an effective paragraph, so to have a well-developed paragraph, it is essential that you include all the three components, right? Which is the topic sentence, the supporting sentences, and also the concluding sentence, right? Any basic and effective paragraph should have all the three components. Now, we're going to talk about each of this separately, right? So the first thing that we're going to be concerned with is the topic sentence, right? This is essential in most of the paragraphs, particularly for people who write professionally, right? So in professional communications, technical communication, scientific communication, in all such domains of writing, having a topic sentence is essential in any paragraph, right? If suppose you are a creative writer, right, or you're writing in a very informal domain, like say social media, or creative fiction or blogs, so on and so forth, then people take some liberty of playing with the structure of the paragraph, right? So sometimes they think that, okay, let me just avoid the topic sentence, I'll just take a very different route of writing this, right? But remember that these are all informal mediums, right? So in informal mediums, generally there are no rules. In creative fiction, you don't have a rule as to how to, organize your thoughts or how to organize the text that you have at hand. Similarly, in social media, there is no rule binding on you, right? Although it is more effective if you follow a certain structure while you write. But, organizationally or institutionally, there is no compulsion. There is no rule that tells you that, okay, you have to write it in a certain way, in a certain structure, right? But all of this changes while you start writing professionally, right? When you write at your workplaces, when you write at places that are more formal in nature, like anything that is formal, even formal writing follows a very rigid structure. It follows a certain organizational, pattern to arrange the piece of information that you have, right? You cannot randomly arrange your information in the way you want. It has to take a trajectory. It has to be written in such a way that is a logical flow, right? And to ensure this logical flow, the first thing that you do is to ensure that you have all the components there. And even within that components, the first thing that you'll ensure is that you have a proper topic sentence for your paragraph, right? What is the logic? Why do you include a topic sentence? The reasons you see on the screen. The first thing is that it introduces your reader to the main element, the main point, the major idea of discussion in that particular paragraph, right? Or if it is a longer format writing like an essay, it introduces the reader to the major subject or the topic that's going to be discussed, right? So it's important because it introduces the main subject to the reader. It is also important because it sets the overall attitude of the paragraph, right? So it not just introduces what we are going to read about, but it also tells us about what is the stand or what is the opinion or what is the attitude of the author in question, right? What stand is this person taking? Which direction is this author taking? Say on a contentious topic, right? So people can have a for or against argument for anything. So this topic sentence is also tasked to declare to the audience where do you stand with respect to your attitude or beliefs about the topic that you're writing about, right? So this is why it is important. And in professional domains, where you have time space constituencies, people would want to know. They do not want to scramble through the paragraph and figure it out on their own what is the topic being discussed, right? So professionally, when you write, it is
Hey guys, I am alone or everyone is not able to hear me, so I'm screen as well.
Should we wait?
What's going on, Gaurav? Is the instruction has been gone? Hello?
Hello.
Should we wait or not?
I think, ma'am, currently, ma'am is not available.
कहाँ है मैं?
Okay, guys, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a power outage on the campus and it has been like this since morning. So I don't know how long this would also sustain. If there's a power cut or something in between, then we'll wrap up for today and we'll maybe do that tomorrow and then day after tomorrow consecutively. But if there is no other disturbances right now, then we'll continue with it. Okay. So I'll try to like do it a little, you know, um, not skip, but then if there are parts which don't need much of an explanation, then we'll try to accommodate. If not, we may go beyond maybe say 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'll see to wrap it up on time. Okay. So let me share the screen with you. Meanwhile, if there's again an outage and if you don't see me again, then just consider it closed for today. Okay, don't stay back. We'll do it tomorrow in case this happens again today for the session. Okay, you're able to see the screen clearly, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So, for people who have joined, we were talking about the development of paragraphs, and as we were discussing, so to have a well-developed paragraph, what is essential are three different components, right? And the first one among that would be the topic sentence, right? We did talk about what it does. So, mainly, why you should have a topic sentence, or why it's considered an essential part of writing an effective paragraph is that this is the sentence which introduces your reader to your work, right? Your paragraph about what you're going to tells you what you're going to write about, and additionally, it also gives a hint on the attitude or the belief or the opinion of the speaker, right? Or to put it the other way, it tells you what direction this write up is going to take up, particularly in longer format writings, right? Like in essays or SOPs, it tells the reader about what this author wants to convey. Plus, it also tells you what is the attitude of this author. Okay, what belief system does this author come from? What stand does this author want to undertake as the person writes for the rest of the paragraph? Now, this is not just true in the case of longer format essays, which is made up of multiple paragraphs, say 5, 6, 7 paragraphs. Even if you're talking about a standalone paragraph, the topic sentence serves exactly the same purpose, which is telling the reader about what they're going to read next and telling them what attitude or belief does the author take up, right? So this is what the function or the purpose of a topic sentence in a paragraph is, right? Now, if you're going to look at how we identify the topic sentence or what essentially a topic sentence is made up of, right? Then it is the topic plus the main idea, right? A lot of us would think that the topic and the main idea are one and the same. That is not the case because we are discussing about the construction of a paragraph, about how to write a paragraph. We have to look at every small details of it, right? So topic sentence is then formed of two parts, namely the topic that you're writing on, and then second is the main idea, right? So what is it we just discussed? Topic is what? This is basically what you're going to write on, or the part which the reader has to know that, okay, this is what this author is going to write about. And main idea is what we were discussing before, right? The belief of the author, the attitude of the author, the stand that the author wants to undertake, right? The direction that your paragraph has to undertake, or has to be written by the author, right? Main idea comprises of all of that, right? Topic is what you write upon, and main idea is about the attitude, the belief, the opinion, the direction that the paragraph has to undertake. Both of them together will give you the topic sentence of the paragraph, right? Now, what do you look for when you identify the topic? So now we saw that it has two parts. So when you're reading an article or you're reading a paragraph yourself, try to do this activity. Try to understand what is the topic of the paragraph and what is the main idea of the paragraph. And this you'll do by locating the topic sentence of the paragraph in that sentence, right? You have a paragraph, there is say 5 or 6 or 7 sentences in that paragraph. For identifying which among those sentences is your topic sentence, you'll have to locate that particular sentence which contains two things. One is the topic of the paragraph, and second is the main idea of the paragraph, right? How do we do that? So if you're identifying the topic, there are some things that you can look for which will tell you what the topic of the paragraph is. First thing is you look for what is the big idea that is being described in the paragraph or narrated in the paragraph, right? What is the big idea? Or alternatively, you call it the main idea or the main point, right? Second is you look for that single word that you can use to describe the whole paragraph. So once you finish reading that paragraph, think about what is that one single word or one single phrase which you will use to describe or talk about the whole paragraph. Whatever is the answer to that question is the topic of that paragraph, right? Alternatively, what you can also do is that as you're reading through the paragraph, you look for phrases and words that are repeated often, right? So this is also one of the strategy, the repetition strategy. Why do we use it? Because we want to keep reminding the reader that, see, this is what we are discussing about. This is the topic of the discussion here, right? So using the same strategy, you can also figure out the topic of the uh, paragraph, right? So if there are words and phrases that gets repeated often in the paragraph, right? Frequently seen everywhere in the paragraph, then most likely and most often than not, they are that particular phrase or word is the topic on which the author is presenting his or her ideas, right? So three things: look for the big idea that is discussed, look for that single word which can describe the whole paragraph to you, and third thing is look for phrases or words that are repeated often in the paragraph, right? This is to identify the topic of the sentence. Okay. Okay, I thought someone's hand is raised. Okay, we'll go back to the presentation. Now, how do you identify the main idea? Now, once that part is done, you have to look for what is the main idea of the paragraph. So once you have the topic, you will have to explore the 4 questions that you see on the screen to understand what is the main idea, right? What are those questions? What is the author saying about the topic? You know the topic, now you have to locate what is being said about the topic, right? What is this paragraph mostly about? Okay, is it giving you a reason? Is it giving you an elaboration on a certain thing? Is it explaining or describing a particular thing, right? What is it mostly about, right? Then what are the details, or what do the details explain about the topic? What do the details explain about the topic basically means? Is it giving you a reason? Is it giving you adding more details to it, or is it trying to contrast it, right? All of these questions, including the last one with the major points about the topic, would tell you what the main idea is, right? I'll demonstrate it using an example. Right now, I'm only showing you a skeletal of how it is constructed. I'll show you an example, and we're also going to do the activity in which you'll have to pick out the main idea, topic, sentence, and all. So I think it'll be clearer for you once you do that. Okay. For the time being, remember, if you cannot remember all of these things, or you cannot grasp all of these things, just remember one thing: the first question that you see here on the screen, right? So what is the author saying about the topic? Identify the topic and see what is being said about the topic, right? That will give you an idea of what the main point or the main idea of the topic sentence is, right? Okay. Then once you know the topic sentence, right? Once you've identified the topic sentence, the next part, or once you've written your topic sentence, the next part that you need to include in order to write an effective paragraph are the supporting sentence or supporting sentences, right? In most of the paragraphs, you will have at least 3 to 4 supporting sentences. Now, what are these supporting sentences? These are sentences which help you establish the claim that is being made in the topic sentence, right? So supporting sentences, usually we use them either to add or explain or elaborate or describe the claim that the topic sentence makes, right? Or you can also alternatively prove by giving reasons on what the claim has been made in the topic sentence, right? Now, to add, elaborate, and to prove, if you look at a real-time paragraph, you see to perform the functions of addition and elaboration and proving the claim, you either give reasons, right, or you provide facts, data, statistics to establish that claim, or sometimes you refer to other articles in which these claims have been made and quote them, right? So quotation basically means that quoting from other articles, right? You quote the authors from other articles, or you quote certain findings that have been presented in other articles that you have read, or some other work that you have read, or you provide an example from your own side, right? The example could be universal, an example could be something that you have figured from your studies also. So in this 4 different ways, right? Either by giving an example or providing quotes and quotations and stuff from other studies and works that you've read, or by presenting facts, data, and statistics, you can add, elaborate, or prove the point or the claim that the topic sentence makes, right? So that is done through the supporting sentences, right? Usually in a standalone paragraph, it is if it is a single paragraph, then 3 to 4 sentences is what you will mostly write to make the claim, right? For shorter paragraphs. Longer paragraphs may have somewhere between, say, 6 to 7 sentences, but nothing more than that, right? So topic sentence and then 3 to 4 supporting sentences, or 6 to 7 supporting sentences based on whether you're writing short or long paragraphs, and then the concluding sentence, right? This is what we call as a paragraph. Like you might have heard even in schools also, while they've taught you paragraph writing, that do not write too long paragraphs, right? When you're presenting ideas, if you have more than one idea, then present them separately, right? Do not include everything into one paragraph and then generate a very long paragraph. So the purpose of the paragraph or the purpose of writing a paragraph would be defeated if you make it too long, right? The reason is, if you provide too much information in one go, it is difficult for the reader to process, and there are chances that you also include things that do not fit to the topic sentence of the paragraph, right? So to ensure that we are keeping the structure intact and we are effectively able to communicate the message, it's always advised that you keep your paragraphs shorter. Okay. In certain cases, especially say in scientific writing and all, you're required to write a little longer paragraphs. But even those paragraphs, they do not go beyond, say, 10 sentences, including the topic and the concluding sentence, right? So anything beyond that would be considered an ineffective paragraph because of the sheer length of it. Okay. So that is about the supporting sentences. And then one last thing that we need to discuss in the essential components on paragraphs is the concluding sentence. Now, before we look at how concluding sentences look or what do they do, keep this in mind. In longer format writings, right, where you have multiple paragraphs, like in an essay, which has like 5 or 6 or 8 paragraphs, not all paragraphs, not every single paragraph in that essay will have a concluding sentence, right? Because it makes no sense. Because you're taking up an idea and you're probably explaining various facets of it throughout your essay, right? So in such cases, including a concluding sentence for each and every paragraph is it's impractical, and it's also not very logical to do that, right? So in longer format writings, which has multiple paragraphs, not all paragraphs are going to have a concluding sentence. But what they will definitely have is a topic sentence and a supporting sentences, right? Concluding sentence may be absent, but the other 2 parts would definitely be there, right? But if it is a standalone paragraph, right, if you're writing just a single paragraph, whether long or short, then it is a must, it's a compulsory thing that you end your paragraph with a concluding sentence, without which you are disrupting the structure and the organization of your information. And you will just, the information that you've presented would look like, it has ended without giving it a proper closure and a direction, right? That can affect the efficiency and the communication of the ideas of whatever you've presented in that paragraph. Hence, make sure that in every single in standalone paragraphs, you definitely include a concluding sentence, right? Now, what do concluding sentences do? What is the function of a concluding sentence in a paragraph? It is either to reinstate what has already been mentioned in the topic sentence, right? So if you have a topic sentence and if it makes a claim, the concluding sentence basically reinstates. Okay, so it restates whatever has been mentioned in the paragraph, in the topic sentence, or it reinforces. Now, reinforce is little different from restate or reinstate. Restate is basically, you just repeat what is being said repeat the claim that is being made in the topic sentence. But reinforce usually is a little different idea. If you're reinforcing, then the kind of concluding sentence that you would have is a recommendation kind. Okay, so you see the different kinds of concluding sentences here, right? 4 of them. One is prediction, one is suggestion, the other one is final observation and summary, and then the last one is recommendation, right? So if reinforce, right, if this the second one is what you are trying to do with your concluding sentence, or if the second function is what is fitting for the kind of paragraph that you are writing, then that concluding sentence would either be of the nature of prediction concluding sentence, a recommendation type of concluding sentence, or a suggestion type. Okay. Only if you're restating or reinstating what has been said in the topic sentence, then your concluding sentence will be of this kind, which is it will look like a final observation statement or a summary statement, right? In all the other cases where you're reinforcing the idea, you either have a recommendation type of concluding sentence, or a prediction type of concluding sentence, or a suggestion type of concluding sentence. Any question here? Or until now, something that you have not
No,
understood?
ma'am.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything that you want to ask? You thought that this is difficult for me to understand. I don't know what this is. All good? Okay. So just keep this in mind. If you're reinforcing, okay, if you're reinforcing means you're basically pushing for action. Okay. Reinforcement of something means that you're trying to, how do I put it? Reinforcement learning, you might have come across, if you people from data science might have come across the word reinforcement learning, right? The machines or the LLMs learn through reinforcement learning. So you provide it a feedback and you make its output better. So reinforcement is basically that, right? So if you have to make the output better, then you'll have to give it some kind of a feedback, suggestion, and recommendation, right? Same logic is being used in the writing as well. That if you're trying to reinforce the idea that is being presented in the topic sentence and throughout the paragraph, then your concluding sentence has to be either of a prediction, recommendation, or suggestion, right? If not, if you're simply concluding it, simply restating what is being said in the topic sentence, then you use either a summary type concluding sentence or you use a final observation type of sentence. Now, final observation type of sentences are common in textbooks, right? So if you're writing a textbook and you're writing, say you're writing a textbook on data science, right? And you have a chapter on, say, data visualization and something along that line. So the concluding paragraph of your chapter will mostly have a final observation summary kind of a sentence, right? It will not have a suggestion, prediction, recommendation types, right? But if you're writing a research article, for example, say you're writing a policy document for your company, then the final paragraph of your write-up is going to have a concluding statement, which would either look like a recommendation or a suggestion sentence, right? So that's a difference. Okay, so let us see what is. Okay, this is a very simple example of how the three components are incorporated while you write a paragraph. Just read through it and tell me if you're able to identify the three components, and can you also see the functions of each of them, right? Just quickly, 1 minute, and then we can move on to the next. Okay, good to go. So I love the color blue. It symbolizes many emotions. However, blue is often associated with
Ma'am,
melancholy.
excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am,
yes,
could you
yes.
please tell the could you please give a synonym for tranquility?
For tranquility. What
Yes,
is
ma'am.
the synonym for tranquility? Why?
Ma'am, because I couldn't understand the reading of it.
Oh, because you did not understand. I thought you were
Yeah,
taking it up. Yeah. So
no,
what
ma'am.
tranquility? What does tranquility mean? Can you guess it from the context? Blue, but for me, is the color of tranquility. Are we still
Peaceful.
connected, or have we lost the connection?
Ma'am, we are still connected.
We're connected, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because my My system shows no internet. Okay, as long as you can hear me, I think we are
No, ma'am,
fine.
now I can hear
Yeah.
you, sir.
You can hear. Okay. So yeah, what is tranquility? Is the color of tranquility something that is peaceful, right? When you say it's tranquil, you say it's peaceful, or something that is calm and serene, right? That's what tranquility means. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
So yeah. Okay. So blue, but for me, surely a few would be of that opinion, but blue, but for me is the color of tranquility. I mean, um, even if you are not able to guess the meaning of calm and what is that peace, I think
No, ma'am,
it
I
would
do
have been
understand
better
that.
if you I mean
No, ma'am, I understood it. I just wanted to clarify if it was that.
okay,
So
okay.
yeah.
Because you have the word melancholy and then there is a contrast, right? So it has to be something that is opposite to melancholy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
If you know
Absolutely.
what melancholy means, if there's a difficulty with understanding melancholy, then again it's a problem. Okay. Right. So is the color of tranquility? In all probability, the serene sky, see, it has several words that's associated with that. Serene sky would not have been the same. Sapphires would not have had their dazzling luster. Undoubtedly, it is a magical color that I adore. Okay, so this is a very very
Ma'am,
primary school level
ma'am,
paragraph.
the phrase blue, but for me is the color of tranquility. It's in which person? Like,
In
is
which,
it
sorry,
second person or third person? Like the phrase is written in terms of.
blue, but for me is the color of tranquility.
Yes, ma'am.
It should be in third person, no?
Okay.
No, no. This is also first person only, but with an objective personal pronoun.
This person.
Yeah,
Okay, ma'am.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just analyze the structure of the paragraph, right? So see if you can see the topic sentence, see if you can identify the supporting sentences, and see a concluding sentence, and see if it is fitting the roles that we just described, right? So what is the topic sentence here again in the given paragraph?
Blue, the color blue.
The topic sentence. I'm not looking for the topic.
I
What is
love
the
the color
topic
blue.
sentence? I love the color blue, right? So in I love the color blue, what is your topic?
The color blue.
The color blue, right? And what is the main idea? Main idea is I love this. So main idea tells you the attitude, the belief, the opinion of the author. That this is what we discussed. So I love the color blue. Okay, the author's emotions for it is the main idea. So you're going to basically describe about this part, the rest of this, and like why I like it. Okay, or the reasons or the explanation for why the author likes it, right? So I love the color blue. You have the color blue as the topic, and I love the color blue as your main idea, right? Or say the feeling, the emotion of love towards the color is your main idea here. Now look through rest of the sentences quickly and tell me if that justifies the claim in the topic sentence. Does it tell you, do all the other sentences tell you something about the author's love for the color blue? Even if you don't
Yes,
know, you
ma'am.
can just say it like that.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
it tells you that, right? It tells you why the author likes it. It tells something about the person's love for the color blue, right? Look at these sentences. It symbolizes many emotions. Blue is often associated with melancholy. Surely, if you would be of that opinion,
Ma'am,
blue, but
there's a line where there's melancholy, right? Melancholy is basically to depict kind of sadness, right?
correct. But what is the
So,
sentence that follows it?
so like without the sentence, like okay, so that should not be considered as a like supporting sentence, right?
Not essentially a supporting sentence, but it's also part of that structure. Okay, because it's not like we are mentioning that sentence and then we are going on writing negatives about it. We have used that as a bridge to go to the positive part. Okay, so it's
Okay,
also part of the structure, but it's not the main supporting sentence. Okay,
yes,
yeah. Right. So all the sentences up to sapphires would not have had their dazzling luster is a part of your supporting sentence structure. Okay. So that is your supporting sentences, and then look at the last sentence particularly. Undoubtedly, it is a magical color that I adore. Now, what are we doing with that here? Is it a reinforced sentence or it is a restated sentence? Am I only restating I love the color blue part, or am I reinforcing anything there?
Restating, ma'am.
You're only restating, right? You're not reinforcing. I'm not giving you any reinforcement will come if I'm giving suggestions or recommendations, right? But the paragraph that I'm writing is about my love for
Mhm.
you. So that doesn't
Ma'am,
require.
but in this sentence, it's also mentioned like, the sky is serene because of the color.
So
So wouldn't it be reinforcement?
no, it's not reinforcement. See, for reinforcement, you have to make recommendations to an action, right? So that is not here. What I'm doing with the last sentence is that I'm just basically repeating what I've said in my topic sentence in a different way, right? So look at I love the color blue, and then look at the sentence undoubtedly it is a magical color that I adore. Aren't both the sentences saying more or less the same thing?
Okay, ma'am.
Right? So this is called restating, right? So in paragraphs of this type, there is no need of writing anything to reinforce the idea, right? So we're not discussing an action plan or anything. So reinforcement is not a criteria that we use here, right? Either you summarize what is being said in the topic sentence or you simply restate like we have done in this case, right?
Ma'am,
So
while restating a statement, is it necessary to have the like topic statement or anything related to that in it?
it has to be because you're restating the claim, no? So you have to maintain the attitude and the emotion that is being
Like over
conveyed
here,
through
the
your
color
topic
of blue
sentence.
is not mentioned, but about it, it has been like it's
Ah,
just related to it.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so that's a very simple paragraph to show you how writing works. We also have to make sure that we don't. So to answer your question on the color blue is not mentioned in the last sentence. So that is another thing we supposed to discuss that in the strategies. But since anyway you asked, you also have to ensure that your paragraphs don't have phrases and words that are repeated too often, right? So you have to repeat it in a strategic manner. So repetition does not mean a verbatim repeat, right? Because if you do that, then your paragraph looks very redundant, right? You people would be bored reading the same thing
Yes,
again.
ma'am.
So while you repeat the words, you have to employ some strategy to make sure that you're saying the same thing, but then you're not using the same set of words to do it, right? Yeah. So that is one thing. Okay, now I think we'll continue to the strategy and then we'll come back and talk about how we'll do some
Repetition.
exercises. Yeah. So
Okay,
let's
ma'am.
then look at these two principles. So once you have a well-developed paragraph which has a topic, sentence, supporting sentences, and concluding sentence, the next part is to now check on whether your paragraph is held together properly or not. Yeah. So you have a set of information which you're presented using these three components. You also have to check if they have been presented properly in a logical fashion, as the information arranged properly in order to communicate the message effectively. And to ensure these two things, there are two strategies, come two principles that we use in paragraph writing. They are called unity and cohesion, right? So what is unity and cohesion? So, what is the meaning of the word unity? When we say unity, we are referring to the principle by which you hold the paragraph together. And what is that principle? That you make sure that only one idea is discussed per paragraph, right? You have to ensure that the components of the paragraph, which are the topic sentences, the supporting sentences, and the concluding sentence, all of them together just talk and present the one single idea of the paragraph, right? To make sure that none of them, usually the supporting sentence is more prone to this for people who don't know how to write. What they do is they'll bring in some other information which is totally irrelevant to what is being discussed there, and then add it to the paragraph. So make sure that you do not bring any information that is irrelevant or disturbs the unity of the paragraph, right? Every sentence, every concluding sentence, sorry, every supporting sentence, the topic sentence, the concluding sentence, all of it should point, if you take them out of the paragraph, right? Like if you separate them out as independent sentences, they should have the capability to point towards that one main idea, that single point. If it is able to ensure that, then we know that the paragraph is unified. Anything that is a little out of, line with what is being discussed or the main point or the idea of the paragraph is a redundant sentence, right? It's a relevant sentence which needs to be taken off the paragraph to ensure we have a unified paragraph, right? So unity is the principle by which we ensure that all the components of the paragraph, all the sentences that make up a paragraph talk or point towards a single main idea, right? They're tied together in such a way that all of them together will make a whole sum of the main idea that's being presented, right? Now, what is cohesion? Okay, cohesion is cohesion refers to the logical arrangement of information within the paragraph, right? Now, this cohesion can either exist between the sentences in a paragraph. It is also something that has to be ensured between paragraphs if you're writing longer essays, right? So if you have, say, 5 or 6 paragraphs in an essay, between each of these paragraphs, you should have cohesion. Cohesion could mean logical flow or continuity, right? That's another 2 words that we use to refer to cohesion is continuity and logical flow. So in a longer format, this continuity and logical flow should exist between the paragraph. And if you're talking about a single paragraph, then there should be continuity and cohesion or logical flow between each of the sentence that you have in the paragraph, right? So it's not just that all of the sentences should point towards one main idea. We should also ensure that all of these sentences that we have in a paragraph, they flow from one logical piece to the other, right? So the information is arranged in such a way that uh, from one sentence to the next, there's an easy flow, right? Just to make you understand what the situation is, I do not know if back in your schools, right, mostly for these English exams or language exams, you used to get a question where, the order of the sentences are jumbled. Remember? We used to have that kind of activities. Have you seen that kind of sentence? Have you ever answered those kind of questions back at school?
Yes, ma'am. We have answered that type
Yeah.
of
So
questions.
sorry?
Yes, ma'am. Like we have answered that type of questions.
Correct. So you get an interactive activity where a paragraph is given, but then the sentences are they're deliberately given in a jumbled order, and the task for you is to arrange it in the logical order, right, from one to the other. So cohesion is basically that, right? So if you have a paragraph where your last sentence is the first, and then the first goes somewhere in between, the reader doesn't understand, right? The information doesn't uh, it is not communicated in a proper manner and in an order. So cohesion is that particular element which ensures that the first comes first, the second comes second, the third comes third, and so on and so forth. Right? This is the point that we're trying to make: logical continuity. And to arrange this information, you have several techniques, right? So you can use several patterns to do this to ensure that the logical continuity exists. And some of them are spatial arrangement of information. So spatial arrangement means, if, for example, you are giving somebody a direction to go to, say, the mall, right? Someone wants to know how to go to the mall. If you're giving information or if you're giving them direction of how to reach there, then most of the sentences that you use to give direction would be spatially arranged, right? So you will use words like left, right, or directions like south or southwest or northwest, or things like that, right? So words or phrases that are associated with spatial arrangement of information, right? So one method is to do that. Second is temporal arrangement. So, based on temporal or chronological arrangement, right? So, which means according to time, right? So you provide them information, or you arrange your information based on a chronological order or a temporal order, right? Sometimes you do it in very different ways, right? So we have many ways and patterns in which you do that. Like, for example, you can arrange it in classificatory order. Like, you can classify things into categories and then provide people information. You can give them a cause and effect relationship based, information arrangement. You can give them a compare and contrast kind of information arrangement, right? So all these are different patterns in which you can organize the information that you have at hand so that your message or your point is communicated effectively to your listener, right? So we're not going to discuss all of those patterns in detail, right? But just to your information, I'm just giving you examples of what are the ways in which you can arrange it. I'm sure you're all acquainted with it. You probably are, not probably, all of us have read that kind of uh, sentences and paragraphs, right? So just to rehash and, just to brush up on what we already know, these are the different patterns that we use to provide a pattern of arrangement to the information that we, okay? So all that is ensured in the cohesion part, right? All this is a part of ensuring that the information that you want to present is logically conveyed to the reader. Okay. So all of these patterns help you in doing that properly, right? Okay. Any questions here?
Ma'am, actually, I have one question.
Hmm. Go ahead.
Ma'am, is it necessary to go like order
Hmm.
wise while writing a story? Cause in some stories,
Hmm.
the things aren't like in the order wise. They
Hmm.
randomly start the story and then in between they
Hmm.
will add some twist and turn. And like while reading the
Hmm.
story, we connect the dots and then understand that okay, this is the story. So in some
Right.
stories, like
So
the order is not there, right?
right, right. So in creative storytelling, the case is very different. Like I told you before, they usually don't follow any strict order, but that doesn't mean that they don't follow any order, right? There has to be some structure so that the point is conveyed to the reader. You cannot randomly. What I'm talking about is a technical arrangement, right? A sentence that has to come first. So, for example, say something like the sentences that are supposed to be written for the end of the story. Can you write it in the beginning of the story?
No, ma'am, actually can't do
No,
that.
right? That we cannot do, right? Everything else that you add in between, these are what we call as like you mentioned, twist and turn, or what we call as fantasy elements, or something that excites the reader. These are not part of the basic structure of the writing, right? That doesn't form the framework or skeleton of writing. We are discussing about the skeleton where we need an order, right? So like I said, if you have set aside a few sentences or paragraph which has to come at the end of the story, that certainly cannot go in the beginning, right? So we're talking about that kind of basic skeleton. Okay, we're not talking about the nitty gritties or the details that go into it. Okay, maybe in that you can play around, but not the overall structure of what you're writing. Okay,
Yeah, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
all right, right. Yeah, we will upload it, Harsh. It might take a little bit of time, so you can expect it only maybe by the end of the week. But yes, all sessions are recorded and uploaded. Okay, so this is unity and cohesion. Okay, and let's look at some strategies for unification. So, how can you ensure that your paragraph is unified? How can you ensure that all the sentences in that paragraph is talking about the single idea, that main idea that it should talk about? First strategy, remember I told you about repetition, right? So, repeat the keywords. Okay, repeat the keywords often in the sentence, and while you're repeating it, make sure that the repetition doesn't happen with the same set of words or phrase, right? So you don't want to make your paragraph look redundant or boring or something that has the same words repeating over and over again. But we also have to repeat in order to remind the reader or to restate that, okay, this is what I'm writing about. So the point is you repeat, but you repeat it in such a way that the same exact verbatim words don't appear again. Okay. So we'll see how that is done. But first strategy for unification, repeat the keywords. Second is signpost the sentences using transitional words. So what is signposting? Signposting is basically it's a technique that you use to ensure that there is flow between sentences, right? So we know that as a part of cohesion, we need to ensure there is flow. So the signposting basically helps you to add certain words which helps you what you're going to talk about, right? So for example, if you want to add something to what you're writing, then you use certain kind of words and phrases which nudges the reader, tells the reader that, okay, the next sentence is where this person is going to add something to what is already been said. Or if you add certain other set of words, then it nudges the reader that, okay, now the author is trying to tell me something that is in contrast to what has already been said before, right? So similarly, signposting is basically a set of words or phrases, use of certain phrase or words, which provides direction to the reader, right? Tells the reader what the author is going to say next, what direction the author is going to take next. So that is another important strategy for unification, right? Repetition of keywords, signposting sentences using transitional words. Third thing is repetition of key phrases and transition. No, sorry. And last thing is, do not repeat the transitional words too often, right? Now, while using transitional words would help you ensure unification, overusing them will also become a problem, right? Why is overuse a problem of particularly transitional words? Why do you think it's a problem to overuse words, right? If you're going to, put a transitional word in every juncture, okay, every sentence begins with a transitional word. Then what happens? Then
Then
people
readers
lose
get
the,
confused.
it becomes messy, right? So it defeats the exact purpose that you're trying to do. It completely destroys your smooth flow, right? Then the reader is thinking more than reading. The reader is sitting and thinking about, okay, now what happened before this, what happened after this, right? So they're left scrambling for information, and that is bad writing. Okay, there's something called readability. Whatever you write, your readability score should be at least between 11 to 13, right? Quantitatively, we measure it to be the best score to be between 11 to 13. Now, what does readability mean? Readability basically means, is it easy for the reader to read what you have written, or is the person, does the person have to read too much back and forth while they read your work, right? So usually this back and forth reading happens because you have overused transitional words, right? So overuse of transitional words also will confuse the reader. So that should be controlled. If you've used those words in limit and to the levels that is suitable, then it helps you. But if you're overusing and peppering it because you want to, increase the length of your paragraph, or you want to show that you've written a lot more than, or that you're capable of writing more, then it will have a reverse effect, right? You'll actually mask your message than providing the details. Okay. So two key strategies. First one is repetition of the keywords, and the second thing is signpost. Okay. Now, types of signposting. You can either signpost using single words, like say, there are some sample words on your slide here. Please take a look at them. So you could either use single words like consequently, or however, or although, furthermore, depending on what your function is. So for example, if you want to if you want to add something as a, as a result, okay, or as an effect, cause and effect thing, then you use a word like consequently, okay. If you want to show something that is in contrast, then you use words like however or although, right? Or if you're simply adding to what has been mentioned, then you use words like furthermore, moreover. If you're using chronological arrangement, temporal arrangement, then you say firstly, lastly, next, so on and so forth, right? So the signposting can either happen using single words, like the examples you have here, or it can also happen as short phrases, like in contrast to, on the other hand, so on and so forth, right? Sometimes it can also happen as full sentences, whole sentences, right? Like look at the example there. Having looked at the advantages of wearing a mask, the study will verify how long can they be used without ill effects. Now, what is the sentence or clause? Okay, let me just make it clause rather than sentences. Sentence or clause. Oh, sorry. Which part in this sentence is your signpost? The last one, having looked at the advantages of wearing a mask, the study will verify how long can they be used without ill effects. Which part is the signpost here? Are we still connected?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, could you just repeat the
Having
question?
looked
Which part of that whole sentence is your signpost? See, we were looking at signpost that could be single words and short phrases, right? So the third option is that you use a full clause or a sentence to signpost. So in that last sentence that you have there, which part of that sentence is acting as a signpost? That tells the reader about what they can expect next. Look at that first part, having looked at the advantages of wearing a mask. You see that part? Correct. Sachin, you're right. Okay. That first part, that first clause that you have, that particular clause is your signpost, right? So I look at that and I know that there is something that is with regards to this that is going to follow up in that sentence, right? So this is a longer clause which is being used to transition from the previous to the next sentence, right? You can remove that clause and you can still have a good sentence, right? You have the study will verify how long can they be used without ill effects, or how long can the mask be used without ill effects, right? It can be written without that clause also. But adding that clause has helped in signposting exactly on what the author's attitude and direction is, right? So that is a role transitional devices play. Sometimes they do that using single words, sometimes using short phrases, and sometimes using clauses like this. Okay, all the three are effective. In a real paragraph, in a real life scenario, in a paragraph, you will see authors using all the three, right, at various places. They'll use a mix of single word transitions, short phrase transitions, and sometimes clause transitions. Okay, so that's the point. Okay, we have several other examples. So you can have signposts to add more ideas, to frame sentences to add more ideas in your paragraph, right? Or to compare or contrast the given idea, to prove something, to show some. So this is basically a list of, I mean, not an exhaustive list, but just examples to show you the different kinds of popularly used phrases in English in order to do the following thing, right? To add more ideas, to compare contrast, to show exceptions, to prove something, to repeat or refer back to something, to show that you will include something later, to emphasize upon something, to give an example, show the order of things, so on and so forth. Okay. So neither are the purposes exhaustive, nor are the phrases and the words that you see along with them doing that job them exhaustive, right? So I've just come up with some of them to show you an idea, to give you an idea of how it works. The list can be further long, right? Could be much longer than this. I've only included this much to show you how it works, right? What you can do is you can go online. I'm sure there are like PDFs available on transitional words and phrases. They could be a few pages long, right? So you can take help from them and see what are the most commonly used short phrases, single words, and clauses to perform the functions, right? The functions that you see on screen and more than that. Okay. So these are some examples, and any questions? So I want you to do some activity for the next 10 minutes. We'll do some short activities so that you don't have to stay more. But any questions until then?
Yes, ma'am, I have one question.
Yeah, go
When
ahead.
will the feedback of this the complementary content?
Your voice is breaking. I can't. I didn't hear you well.
I'm asking, will the feedback included?
Okay, I still cannot hear you. Is it breaking for everyone else, or is it
yes,
just
it's
me?
breaking.
Ma'am,
It's
So it's
breaking.
breaking for
Okay, so do
everyone.
one thing. Can you write down in the chat or something so that I can respond to you?
Yes, ma'am, obviously.
Sure. Okay. Anybody else? Meanwhile, any questions?
no, ma'am.
No? Okay. So what I'll do is, meanwhile, I'm going to share a link with you in the chat. So please join that link in order to access the activity. I'll paste the link here, and then you can, just a minute. Right. Can you see the link here? Just pasted it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Please sign into that one. I mean, you just need to click on the link and enter the classroom. So once you do that, tell me if you can see the question. Can you see the question? Identify the supporting sentences for each of the topic sentences.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay. So a few of the initial questions, so we don't have, I don't think we'll take up any writing today. We'll keep that for tomorrow when we do descriptive. So entirely for half an hour, 45 minutes, we can do that. Today we'll finish off these questions, right? So that I can wind it up in next 10 minutes. Again, don't hold you back for long. So look at this one. Identify the supporting sentences for each of the topic sentence given below. So topic sentence is already given. Your task is to identify among 1, 2, and 3, which one or which ones are the supporting sentences and which one do you think is not a supporting sentence. Okay. So read through it. 1 minute, I think 1 or 2 minutes per question should be okay. We have 3 such questions. So read this one and tell me which one do you think is the supporting sentence and why. I'll prefer you unmuting and talking to me because I might not be monitoring your chat, right? Has everyone managed to join or is anyone facing any difficulty? Because I see 19 people and we have about, excluding me, I think there are many people.
Ma'am,
32
I've
people.
joined.
Sorry?
I joined just now.
You just joined. Okay. So those of you who are in the call, make sure that you join so that you can see the question. Okay. There is nothing to answer as such. But if you want to read the sentences, then you'll have to join the classroom.
We can't see the questions, ma'am.
You can't see the questions?
Ma'am, I can see it.
You don't see the question. Identify the supporting sentences for each of the topic sentence. That's not
No,
visible
ma'am.
to you.
No, ma'am.
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
it's
it's
visible.
Oh,
only first
Huh?
question is visible.
It's visible, ma'am.
First question is visible, right? If you're not able to access,
Artificial
then
intelligence
rejoin.
with the written or
Yes.
oral interaction. Yes.
Correct, correct, correct. Same. If you're not able to see, then just rejoin. Close that particular browser, rejoin it.
yeah, okay, ma'am.
Okay. So which among 1, 2, and 3 are supporting sentences?
The first one?
First one, is it? Yeah. First one, yes.
Yes, ma'am. First one is the supporting
And
sentence.
then, okay. How about the other two, second and third?
It is most likely the concluding sentence,
Hmm.
the second and third.
Second and third, both are not concluding sentences. One among that should be
Second one
support.
is a concluding sentence, and I think
Yeah.
the third one is a reinforcing sentence.
Third one also is a supporting sentence. Yes, that's right. And second one, most likely, right? It's a very short paragraph, so it's difficult to put your finger on something and say for sure. But then among the three that we have, the second one is most likely the concluding sentence, right? First and third would be supporting. Okay. If you're able to tie it back to the topic sentence that artificial intelligence with a written or oral interface is supposed to make our lives easier in future, I think both first and third speaks about that, right? Okay. All right. How about synthesis while Amazon will soon be controlling our smartphones? Therefore, since it should take advantage of innovative technologies. Okay. All right. Okay. So we move on to the next one here. Don't write anything, okay? You probably are provided space to write, but it's okay that if you can identify, that should be more than it. If you had a little bit more time, then I would have made it. But right now, just identify. So, in the second question, the Victorian era is known for the galaxy of female novelists. Um, what is the topic of that sentence? That's your topic sentence, and what is the topic?
Female novelist.
Yeah, the female novelist,
Yeah.
right? That's your topic. And something in connection with the Victorian era about the female novelist is what your main idea. So you're going to basically read about female novelists from the Victorian era, right? That's the thing. Keep that in mind while you're going through each of the sentence to figure which one is a supporting sentence to that topic sentence. Okay?
Ma'am, 3 and 4 will be supporting sentences. 3 and
3 and 4. They also include Mrs. Fuller. And still more. Okay. The most important novelists we yet are quite important as well. All right. How about others? What about 1, 2, 5?
Ma'am, can one be a supporting sentence?
You have to tell me that. Charlotte Brown, Emily Brown are in prime focus. Okay. Each of the remaining two prized her own line and made herself known in the field of English novel in her own way. Okay. Hmm. First one is certainly a supporting sentence. Second
Yes, ma'am.
one is not a direct supporting sentence, but it should be a
Ma'am,
part
it
of
can
some other
come.
sentence.
It is a part of the fifth sentence, I think.
One of the four, the two first, yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's part of the correct. You're right. You're right. Hmm. Of the four, the two first named were sisters. Were
Fifth
sister.
is a
Okay, sorry,
concluding
there should be an
sentence.
S there. Sorry.
Is fifth the concluding sentence or is it supporting?
It's a supporting sentence, right? If
Ma'am,
you
the
read it
fourth
in,
one should be the concluding sentence, I think.
maybe that's the concluding one, but fifth is not because see, Charlotte Brown. You look at the first sentence. Charlotte Brown, Emily Brown, Mrs. Gaskell, and George Eliot are in prime focus. So look at that sentence of the four, right? So we have a clue in the sentence itself.
Yes,
We've
ma'am.
talked about four writers. Of the four, the two first named were sisters, and there's an S missing there. Sorry about that typo. Were sisters, and their methods and achievement as novelists met at many places. Then each of the remaining two, which is Mrs. Gaskell and George Eliot, right, prized her own line and made herself known in the field of English novel in her own way, right? Then they also include, which is like the other set of, right? Remember, galaxy of female novelists, right? That's your topic. So they also include Mrs. Trollope, Mrs. Gorin, Mrs. Marrow, Miss Bray, Mrs. Henry, Charlotte Younger, Miss Oliphant, and still more, right? So all of these sentences are topic sentences, and like someone rightly mentioned, um, fifth and two are sort of tied together, right? They're basically part of the same sentence. So together they form a larger supporting sentence. Okay. And then, however, this is the last, this is not a directly, not something that you can put your finger on and say this is a concluding sentence. It's more like a, it's like a winding up sentence sort. It's not performing the function of either restating or reinforcing. So remember, I told you for shorter paragraph, sometimes if it is taken from a larger essay, I think this paragraph is taken from a larger essay now that I remember, right? It's an extract that's taken out. Not all paragraph is going to have a concluding sentence. So here again, your fourth sentence, however, the four most important women novelists, this is not a concluding sentence. This is also a supporting sentence. Okay. So we don't have concluding sentences here because the paragraph is not of that kind, right? It doesn't need a concluding sentence. All the sentences that you see here are supporting sentences. Okay. Is that clear, or do you need any explanation on that?
Got it, ma'am.
Huh?
Ma'am, could you
Anybody?
just
Any question?
repeat?
Got it.
Ma'am, could you just repeat what you just said? Actually, I was just went for
I'm
taking
saying,
water.
uh, I'm saying that this particular paragraph, it doesn't have a concluding sentence. All the sentences that you see, they're all supporting sentences, right? So why is it? Because from
Ma'am,
what
how
I
is the
remember,
fourth one a supporting sentence?
you tell me how is it a concluding sentence, then I'll tell you why is it a
Ma'am,
supporting
because
sentence.
it concludes with who are the most important novelists with their names. Like, first
That
they
is what you are
mentioned that.
calling it as, but what is the function of a concluding sentence, like we discussed? Is it restating anything?
No,
Is it reinforcing anything? No,
no.
right? So unless your sentence performs either of these two functions, we cannot call it concluding sentence. Just because it appears at the end of the paragraph or it is the last sentence in the paragraph, it doesn't
Okay.
become a concluding sentence. Okay,
Okay.
so it has
Yes,
to
ma'am.
either restate or reinforce. Otherwise, it's not a concluding sentence, right? So here, what has actually happened is that this is a part of a larger essay, right? This should be something that if I'm not wrong, something from New York Times or something. So it's like basically an essay from which I've taken this extract. So I told you in longer format writing, not every paragraph will have a concluding sentence, right? So this happens to be a case like that. And why fourth is not a concluding sentence is because it is not restating or reinforcing anything, right? If you read it is also something that is adding to the discussion on the galaxy of female novelists in Victorian era. Isn't that so? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So which is why we are not saying that it's a concluding sentence. Okay. That was the case in the previous sentence, previous paragraph that we looked also. This also doesn't have a concluding sentence as such, right? Because nothing reinforces what is being said in the topic sentence. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is the last exercise for this particular question. Object permanence. That's the third one. Your topic sentence is object permanence is the ability to understand that an object still exists even when it can no longer be perceived in any way. This is your topic sentence. You just have two sentences here. Uh, just tell me if you have a concluding sentence or not. Okay, let's not bother with which one is the supporting sentence. Just read those 2 points and tell me if any one among the two qualifies to be a concluding sentence.
There's no
The
concluding
second one.
sentence.
Is there anyone who thinks that there is a concluding sentence in
Second
this
one.
one?
First sentence is concluding and second one is supporting sentence.
First one is concluding. Why is it concluding?
Because it's restating something and
Ah,
yes ma'am, it's
really? Read
restating.
it again. Read the sentences. Read both the sentences again. Object permanence is the ability to understand that an object still exists even when it can no longer be perceived in any way. According to Piaget, children first begin to develop an idea of object permanence at around 8 months old, but other studies suggest the ability starts at a younger age. Really, they're restating? Is it restating or is it supporting what is being said? Or is it adding? Let's not say supporting. Is it adding to what is being discussed as an object permanence? Yeah, others, you people can also respond.
The second one is concluding.
Little louder,
Ma'am,
I'm not able to hear you. Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
The second one is concluding.
The second one is concluding the concept of object permanence was studied by Swiss psychologist Piaget, whose series of 6 stages. No, even that is not telling you anything. It's not restating anything. It's only adding, right? Both the sentences are just adding to this concept of object permanence being the ability to no longer see something when it cannot be perceived further, right? So it's just adding. Basically, they're beginning sentences of. They're not even explanatory for that matter. They're just background sentences that you use to build up the proposal, right? So they're clearly
Okay.
not concluding. Both of them don't. They don't conclude anything. They don't really support anything also, but we can still include them in the supporting sentence category because it is building up to what they want to write. Or maybe if you had few more sentences in that, it would have been easier for you. The two sentences directly do not tell you whether it's concluding or supporting, but it's certainly not concluding. Okay, you don't have concluding sentences for sure, but then you have something of we can call them supporting because they help you build a background to what this person wants to write about. Okay, so anything of that sorts can also be considered supporting sentences. Okay, remember I showed you this. Where is that PPT? Look at this one. Um, add, elaborate, proof. Right? If the sentence is doing anything out of this, then you can consider them as supporting sentences. Okay. So, which is why by that logic, we'll consider both the sentences to be supporting, but we don't have reinstate or reinforce category there. So, no concluding sentence. Okay. All right.
Yes ma'am.
Okay. Now, I think we'll just do two of this. We had a few more, but then I'm just going to do 1 and 2 of this exercise. So, which sentence affects the unity of the paragraph? So, you have a paragraph, then there are 5 sentences in this paragraph. You have to read through that and tell me which among the sentences, whether 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, is disturbing the unity, right? Which sentence can I take out of this paragraph and have a perfect paragraph? Or alternatively, which is that one sentence which is irrelevant, which is of no use to the of of what other sentences are saying? It say that sentence is not connected to the other four sentences. So read it and tell me which sentence is irrelevant, or in
In
technical
my
terms, which is the sentence that is
in
affecting the
activity,
unit. Sorry,
Sentence
in
4.
activity 1, on the slide
I didn't
number
hear
5.
you. Slide number 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it is slide number 5. Yes, you're right.
Okay, ma'am.
Sentence 4.
So read 1 minute of read. Just read through all the sentences and tell me which one is irrelevant, redundant sentence. We don't need it. We can throw it away and still have a good paragraph.
The fifth one.
The fifth one, the ministry described the bus which shows a lined face and a balding head as typical of realist portraits of the Republican era. Okay. Any other answers?
Third one.
Third one, the marble bust was found near Arles, which is founded by Caesar. Mhm. Anybody with other answers?
Ma'am, I think so. It is third one.
You think it's the third one? Okay, third one someone already answered, right? Yeah. Anybody else?
No,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
it's
I am
fourth.
confused.
Fourth. Okay.
The fourth
No,
one.
everything looks redundant now. There are people with different opinions. So, how do you come to this conclusion? I want to hear that more. Okay. So, for people who said sentence number 3, the marble bust was found near Arles, which was founded by Caesar. Why do you think this is irrelevant? So, what you are essentially trying to see is, so remember the strategies, right? First thing was that if you see the words and phrases oft repeated in the sentence. In this case, yes, all the sentences have the word the bust in that, right? So we definitely cannot use that strategy to judge, to decide whether this is unified, right? Because every sentence is saying something about the bust. So that's not the point. So which means just knowing the topic will not help us. We also have to know what is the main idea that is being discussed. Okay. So, which piece of information do you think will be irrelevant in this case?
Ma'am, third one.
Third one, the marble bust was found near Arles. Okay.
Because in the second
Hmm,
one
hmm, hmm,
sentences, it
hmm,
described that was in thrown in the river. But in third,
hmm,
it's saying
hmm,
that it
hmm.
is in near also. Arles is another place.
Arles is a city near the river Rhone, by the way. Okay. So it says that it was thrown into the river and it was found at the bottom of the river Rhone. So Arles is a city that is located on the banks of river Rhone. Okay.
Oh,
I
okay, ma'am.
think it's the fourth
Hmm,
one because other
hmm,
sentences are somewhat related, and the fourth one
hmm,
suddenly says about what the cultural
hmm,
ministry says about it.
hmm.
So
So
it
look at sentence number
yes.
5. Look at sentence number 5.
Yes.
Culture ministry said the bust was blah blah blah. Then fifth one, the ministry described. So there's a continuation, right?
Yes.
Mm. So if you have to remove four, then you have to also remove five.
Yes, ma'am. Obviously.
So that we can't do. We're only looking for that one thing which you need to remove. Okay, and it's not about the number of sentences, but um, it is not the relevant part, right? So fourth and fifth are intact because it also gives you continuation on what it works. So our contention should be between 2 and 3. I can give you that clue. So among 2 and 3, you have to tell me which one is relevant. What is an information that we can survive without? What is not like a very essential piece of information?
The second one.
Second one.
Second,
One
I
second
think
one.
second
the
one.
second one, the bust was
Yes,
thrown in
ma'am,
the
the
river
second
after he
one.
was assassinated. Right? Second one. I mean, that if you look at that sentence in comparison with other sentences, this is not a sentence that is standing out as a relevant one, right? The bust was thrown in river after he was assassinated. Who cares when it was thrown? The point we are discussing is we have found a bust in the bottom of the river, and then you're giving additional information about where it was exactly found. Bottom of river Rhone, and it was found near Arles, which is located along the bank of river, okay, which was founded by Caesar. That's additional piece. Even without that, it's okay. Then about what the Culture Ministry of France did with that, and then follow up with how the bus looked as it raised the ministry. Right. The one sentence which is not helping us with anything is the bust was thrown in the river after he was assassinated. Right. This is not a information that is directly tied to what we are talking about. Right. It's an additional information which you can just do without. Right. Or it's just taking up space in your paragraph. That's all. Right. So second sentence is what is something that you can avoid if you were the writer of this paragraph, right? Okay. So let's look at this one. This would be the last. I think I promise we'll close after this. A man has drowned after diving into a reservoir to rescue his girlfriend's daughter from the water. The girl slipped when trying to catch a ball while playing with the man and her mother. The girl got herself out, but the man got into difficulties. The fire brigade was called out, and 2 hours later, officers recovered the man's body from the water. The report will be submitted to the police and the coroner.
I think third one.
Was this easy to figure out this time? How many people say it's 3? Do you at least agree that we
Yes,
have
ma'am.
some consensus? Yeah. So, yeah, yeah. Oh, someone has raised your hand. I didn't see for that it vanished off the screen. Okay, right. So the third sentence, right? Why is that a problem? Why do you choose that? The girl got herself out, but the man got into difficulties. Redundant, right? So we already know that information is given to us. Obviously, the person survived is what is given, right? The girl slipped when trying to catch a ball. Sorry, a man has drowned after diving into the first sentence. It already tells you who was saved and who, drowned, right? So third is just basically repeating and giving you a redundant detail. Okay. So that is the reason why third one is your irrelevant sentence. All right. Okay. So I think enough for today. We'll wrap up. We've overshot the time by almost half an hour. So we'll meet again tomorrow. So tomorrow we are going to continue with the writing part. So we are going to discuss the descriptive writing tomorrow. Okay. So 2 sessions and one would be entirely on writing the descriptive paragraph.
Actually, I have one question.
Sorry.
I have one question, ma'am.
Okay. I'll look at the chat. So for tomorrow, we are going to be mostly doing the structured writing. Okay. Who was this? I think Vanshi or someone. I think there's some issue with your internet because most of the time it's breaking. I can't hear. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Ma'am, where do we find these questions? Like now, whatever we have answered, if we want to revisit them,
Sorry, the slides or the answers?
the slides, not the answers.
Slides.
Like the
The
questions
slides
alone, yeah.
with the questions. So I
Yeah,
am
only
not
the
sure
questions.
if only the questions. I am not sure if the slides with the question, or I think, actually, this slide, the one that I'm using it to teach, it has the
Yes,
questions
ma'am.
as well. So I think if
Okay.
this is uploaded, or from what I know, this should already be uploaded. Please
Ma'am,
check.
actually, it doesn't get uploaded for any class, I think.
Really? So I'll ask the team to check if this one is uploaded already. If not, they'll do it.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So this has all the questions that we have
Okay, ma'am.
compiled. So you can access these questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
And
All
the
right.
ma'am recording session. What about recording session?
Recording would be, yeah, recordings would be
Recording.
available probably by the end of the
Ma'am, the
week.
end term exams have similar questions.
No, end term exams will not have this kind of questions. This is a workshop, no? So for exam, we stick with the syllabus from the
Okay.
modules.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Where is Vanshi? Vanshi, did you third sentence and one is concluding? I don't see a question here. I think your question was on where can I find the notes for this, right? Yeah. So this all in the supplementary tab section. You can all find it there. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Got it. Thank
All
you.
right. Sure. So, no problem. So I'll meet you again tomorrow, same time. I hope there is no other interferences and problems tomorrow. So same time, we'll meet at 5:30 and we'll continue the same. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
ma'am.
much
Thank
for
Thank you,
see
ma'am.
you again. Sure. Sure.